Have you ever noticed how some people don't panic when things go wrong? They get quiet, they get practical, and 5 minutes later, they're already doing something. Now think about what that actually means. A lot of people who grew up in the 1950s and 60s had fewer safety nets, more pressure, and a stronger keep-going rule at home. So their brain learned a simple loop. Feel it, then move. In this video, you're going to see why that looks like stubbornness, but it's really trained resilience. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Have you ever noticed that certain people get hit with bad news and they don't spin out? They don't talk it to death. They go quiet, then they start moving. So what got trained there? Think about it. You're a kid and you forget your lunch on the counter. You feel that drop in your stomach when you notice it too late. No text to a parent, no app, no quick, "Can you bring it?" You're standing there with an empty hand and a long day ahead, and you just make a call with the tools you have. You trade half a sandwich, you drink more milk, you deal, or you miss the bus. You watch it pull off and you don't get a second chance. You start walking, you cut through yards, you knock on a neighbor's door because you know who's home and who isn't. You show up late and you take the heat. It's not fun, but it's clean. Cause, effect, consequence. Or you break a glass in the kitchen. It hits the floor and there's that sharp crack, then silence. No, it's okay, honey. You grab the broom, you pick it up. You learn fast that if you leave it there, someone bleeds. So you don't leave it there. That's the scene. Small messes, real outcomes, and no instant rescue. Most people meet that kid years later as an adult and label them wrong, cold, stiff, stubborn, like they don't do feelings. But here's the thing. The feeling is there. It's just not driving the wheel. Their system learned a different order. Feel it, then act. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control. It just means your brain expects your choices to matter, even when life is unfair. Not, everything is your fault. More like, there is always something you can do next. And that belief gets wired in through repeat proof. When you got caught by a teacher, you didn't get a long talk about your intentions. You got a note sent home. You had to face it. When you said something mean and the other kids stopped playing with you, you felt the cost right away. When you broke something, you either fixed it, paid for it, or went without it. Immediate link. Action to outcome. So later, when a setback hits, the loop runs on its own. First, your body spikes. Heart rate up, jaw tight, hands a little cold. That's normal stress. Then you do one small move anyway. Wipe the counter, make the call, walk to the neighbor. And that tiny action matters more than people realize because action cuts helplessness fast. Your brain reads movement as agency. You're not trapped. You're doing. Now compare that to modern wiring. If you grow up with constant rescue, your brain learns a weird rule. Delay equals danger. If help doesn't come right now, something is wrong. So you chase relief. Scroll, buy, vent. You look for the quick "I feel better" button. It feels like control, but it's mostly comfort. In the older pattern, comfort was delayed on purpose. You were told, life isn't fair, and then you were still expected to show up. Do your chores, finish the worksheet, say sorry, go to bed. That's not romance. That's exposure training for frustration. You get a steady dose of "this is annoying," and you learn you won't die from it. Research shows this kind of learning sits right next to the idea of learned helplessness. When you get repeat proof that effort changes outcomes, you don't just feel confident. You expect your effort to matter. Quietly. Automatically. Pay off. What happened inside the brain is simple. Fewer safety nets forced executive function to come online early. Planning, self-soothing, problem-solving. So in adulthood, setbacks feel familiar, not fatal. Which brings us to the habit people mock the most, because it looks like being cheap, but it's actually a control signal. There is something different about a person who won't replace the toaster. They unplug it. They shake it out. They take the back off with a bent butter knife. And when it sparks once, they don't scream. They squint. like the thing just insulted them. Imagine you're in a house where money is counted, not as a hobby, as a habit. You hear change hit the table. You watch an envelope get opened, then closed, then put back in the same drawer. The cushion is thin, so every object turns into a question. Can you keep this going? Can you make it last? Can you get through the month without a new problem? So when something breaks, you don't feel mild annoyance. You feel a threat. Not a big one, a small, sharp one. Because a broken fan in July isn't just discomfort, it's a chain reaction. A trip to the store, cash you didn't plan to spend, and that weird, sick feeling like you lost control of the week. From the outside, it can look like a scarcity mindset, or control issues, like you're stubborn for no reason. But here's the thing. Research shows a lot of repair-first behavior is a way to push back on helplessness. It's not about the toaster. It's about what your brain does when reality says, "Nope, not today." You answer back with your hands. Psychologists call this competence seeking. Simple idea. Your nervous system calms down when you prove you can handle stuff. And repair is perfect for that because it gives you feedback fast. You tighten one screw. The wobble stops, you tape one wire, the light turns on. That's a micro win. This wasn't being cheap, it was building skill. And micro wins do something sneaky. They teach your brain to expect progress. Not hope, not vibes. Progress. So later, when you face bigger stress, your first thought isn't, "Who's going to save me?" It's, "What can I try?" Now let's talk money, because this is where people miss the point. Don't spend what you don't have isn't just a money rule. It's a nervous system rule. Debt feels like an open threat. It sits in the background like a low hum. Even when you're eating dinner, part of your brain is running the math. That keeps your baseline stress higher. So avoiding debt isn't moral, it's physical. You sleep better when you don't owe. You breathe easier when the bill is already handled. Your body reads that as safety. Same with keeping your word. You grew up around adults who took promises seriously because breaking them caused real problems. If you said you'd be there, someone counted on it. If you said you'd pay, the lights depended on it. So reliability became a form of control. Predictable people create calmer homes, including for themselves. And then there's the part that looks like pure grit, but it's really a mental trick. When you want something big, you don't just picture it. You do one small action. Under 15 minutes. You don't start a new life. You clean one drawer. You send one email. You walk once around the block. That's executive function in real time. Planning, starting, finishing. The brain learns, I can begin even when I don't feel ready. That's delayed gratification without the speech. Think about what that actually means. You finish the job before you rest. Not because rest is bad, but because your brain hates open loops. A half-done task keeps pinging you. It steals your calm. So you tighten the last bolt, you put the tools away, you wipe the counter. Then you sit. And now your rest feels clean. No guilt. No itch. Payoff. This whole cluster, repair mode, cash rules, keeping your word, is a toolkit for modern anxiety. It raises your internal locus of control because you keep giving yourself proof that you can handle life with your hands and your habits. Now let's land the plane because there's one part people miss. The cost. And how to steal the good parts without copying the pain. The reframe is this. A lot of 1950s habits weren't personality. They were survival code. Your brain learned early that calm comes from action, not reassurance. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control. It's the felt sense that your next move matters. So try it for 1 week. When something goes wrong, let yourself feel it. Then do one 15-minute fix. One phone call. One small repair. One promise kept. Drop a comment and share your story. Hit like and subscribe because we dive deep into psychology that actually explains how your mind works.